Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about Nadu. We did a video on him yesterday, and I wanted to kind of bring this up because I'm seeing this asked a little bit around with various different people as to whether Nadu will potentially be banned in Commander. I wanted to kind of, chip in my thoughts because I do think that there is a chance, which is probably going to annoy some people that I've said that, but let me completely kind of explain. So Nadu, essentially, this is a very strong card by himself. He's going to give all your creatures the extra ability, essentially, that whenever they become the target of either a spell or an ability, you get to reveal the top card of your library. Either you put it onto the battlefield if it is a land, or you're going to put it into your hand. Now, this does only trigger twice each turn, but you can get so many different ways for this to be able to trigger repeatedly, whether it's going to be lightning greaves and just equipping lightning greaves all around. And then you've got, we talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to completely kind of cover it again, but any of the kind of zero equip, equipments that you're able to use, or a whole bunch of different spells that kind of target lots of different things and then just recur them and stuff. There's a lot of different ways to be able to make Nadu just completely pop off to the point that you're kind of drawing through your whole deck, you're putting out a million lands, you're slowly getting more and more creatures out in the field, and just overall kind of essentially once you kind of get the engine going, it just finishes the game. Very slowly kind of finishes the game, which is what we're going to talk about here. So we're going to talk about first the philosophy of Commander. So as I said, I do think that there is a chance that he's going to get banned, but I don't think it's necessarily because of his strength. So essentially, with Commander, the aim of the game is that, everyone has fun. And, you've got one person that's not kind of monopolizing the whole table, taking over, kind of, doing everything, kind of slowly, while there's strong commanders that once they get the infinite off, it's done. They don't want kind of, let's actually look at the ban list. I think that's probably the best way to kind of go about it. All right. So looking at the ban list here, I've kind of shown some big ones here. So the first one here is Emrakul. Now, the reason that he's kind of banned is because he was quite strong when he came out, right? However, they kind of stopped doing bans for strength of cards. Doesn't matter how necessarily strong a card is. They're not kind of looking at how strong they are. It's just kind of if they end up warping the format. So that's kind of our first big thing here, is warping the format. If, Nadu ends up warping the format, where we're seeing Nadu in most games next year, not like at the moment when he's kind of brand new and has everything, but if we're seeing him later kind of, just taking over the whole format, then there's going to be potentially issues where they may ban him because of that. The difference here is that Emrakul is colorless. He could be put into a whole bunch of different decks, which means that most, people could potentially be running him, and, you guaranteed to get that extra turn and stuff. And, it's just lots of different ways that he is essentially going to slot in everywhere. But he's not kind of the only one there. We've got Golas here. So Golas was mostly banned because of the fact that he was, again, like a format warping card. Depending on what deck you're running, it was potentially better to just run Golas as the commander, because you could just get so much value out of his, kit. This is saying about, they kind of do the bans around the low to middle power levels, focus them around there. So, having Golas be around mean that anyone who was, wanting to run a deck, you could potentially look at Golas being the commander, and because of, just being able to get so much to kind of pop off from him, you could just do a crazy amount of stuff. Moving on to Hull Breacher here, which is a more recent ban. Hull Breacher was banned because of the fact that it's just stripping, as it says here, you could easily combine it with other cards to strip opponents' hands, and just creating an environment where it's not ending the game, but it means that the game just slows down a lot because, you know, there's people who are kind of relying on card draw, especially in a game like Commander where you want to have a few pieces of card draw in your deck. To be denied that because, you know, the Hull Breacher players got this out and they're just creating a whole bunch of treasures whenever people draw in cards and stuff, as well as the fact that you could, you know, cause people to discard and draw cards and stuff with like wheels or something. Then you're just going to be able to create an insane amount of treasures and just be able to make it not fun, right? Like you're kind of making it really unenjoyable for other players, as well as it says here, doesn't outright end the game. So that's kind of the bigger thing here, is that if it outright ended the game, then it may not necessarily have kind of, you know, been banned as much, while, you know, cards that kind of end the game are a lot more effective at this. You know, a lot less likely to be banned, in my opinion. But Nadu is a character that, you know, he ends the game, but it's incredibly slow. And, you know, the fact that Hull Breacher was just blue as well. You could splash him into a lot of different decks, right? Like, nearly every blue deck would potentially be wanting to run him. All right. I don't know why I've got Luxury there. We've got Paradox Engine. So this is what I'm talking about with Nadu, right? Paradox Engine can be played in any deck and creates a large amount of mana at little to no deck building cost. There's a lot of ways to be able to proc Nadu, right? There is a lot of ways to be able to proc Nadu. Even if you just had, like, you know, even if Nadu was just in the 99 alongside Lightning Greaves or something like that, you could just potentially get so much off from it. But this part here is what I think could potentially be why Nadu gets banned. It plays patterns of 10 its play patterns often involve long drawn-out turns of tapping and untapping permanents, drawing cards, and generally monopolizing the chess clock of a game. That's looking at Nadu and the kind of combos that you're pulling off with Nadu. This is not a fast card. You have to constantly, first of all, keep track of how many times you've used these on certain creatures and stuff. You've got to constantly be able to create, you know, more tokens. You got to equip your Lightning Greaves around and around and around. You got to draw cards. You got to, you know, play cards around. You got to reveal cards each time and stuff. This is going to be the longest, most boring way a Nadu player could, you know, play and win the game, which it is potential that we're going to like see that. And I think that, you know, people have already started seeing that with like CEDH and stuff, where it's going out and doing, like, you know, just long turns. You are winning the game, but you're going to be taking ages to do it. And the thing is that you're not guaranteed winning the game. You could potentially strike out depending on how, you know, your deck's been shuffled and stuff, or if you just run out of creatures to be able to equip stuff. Sure, you'll have a huge amount of stuff out, but, you know, there's potential that you don't end the game with Nadu, and with, you know, even if you draw, say, 40 cards or something, there could be, you know, it doesn't necessarily end the game, especially if, you know, someone's got like land destruction or something to just wipe that out, or a board wipe, or, you know, lots of different ways to be able to do that. Now, Nadu is an easily stopped creature. Like, you do just have to remove him, so run removal for sure. But, you know, if people don't have removal, then it is going to create this huge kind of toxic loop, monopolizing the chess clock, as it kind of says here, which is disappointing, and that's potentially why I could see it getting banned. Similar to the Prophet of Crofix here, creates a gameplay pattern where the controller of the card can interact and meaningfully play during each other player's turns. It just leads to one player monopolizing playtime without definitively ending the game. Very similar. People are going to do that. All you need to do is add into here like an intruder alarm, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've started to get to this kind of point where stuff's going to all untap. It's not necessarily like your lands aren't going to untap, but all of your creatures will kind of untap. And because of the way Nadu works, you can potentially run like a whole bunch of mana dorks and stuff in there, which means essentially, you know, your mana's untapping similar. So that's kind of, that's what I'm thinking. That, Nadu, I don't think is necessarily going to get banned. And I think that there's, a 99.9% chance that he gets banned because of power. I don't think that he's as powerful enough to get banned to the point that, they actually, do a ban. They don't really ban things for power nowadays. We've got other cards that people have talked about potentially having banned, or cards that are not too bad and not too far off from being strong, like Nadu. When Voja came out, people were like yelling for Voja to kind of get banned, and while he is a very strong and very fun commander, he's not a broken, a broken commander that's going to instantly win the game or anything. Nadu, I think, has the potential to win the game, but it's that kind of fizzle out when he doesn't that's going to kind of cause people to be like, maybe this guy should get banned because that Nadu player just took fucking 20 minutes to take their turn. They've got a million creatures out. I've got my board wipe in hand. Boom, we're done. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that Nadu is a great character, not necessarily as a commander even. Someone mentioned, and shout out to Luke Belanga, I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. Pointing out that, Nadu is a fun character to have in other decks as well. Like, Wise Mothman would be really fun to have Nadu in there. Or at least as a strong kind of upgrade to it. Arwen as well is another one. And not necessarily anyone's running Arwen, but it's kind of thinking about this way. When you scry, put a +1/+1 onto something, that's going to proc off of Nadu whenever you're putting +1/+1s onto stuff. Like even the 13th Doctor as well. Lots of really fun ways that you can potentially use Nadu in the 99. So, but I think that the thing is that even if you are using Nadu in the 99, you still have that kind of potential to get these kind of loops going depending on what deck you're running. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a great day and goodbye.